I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. What a good day is. What a good day is.
All right, y'all know what to do. It is a great day. It's Wednesday and we up in here. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We gonna go ahead and get right into it. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Hopefully y'all are doing well on this Wednesday morning. Let's see how we're looking over here though before we get started. Oh man, we're looking good, all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome y'all, welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats of ClassEbeats.com. We're gonna get into it, man. We got Fannie Willis is making some moves over here in Fulton County. We got an update on Shannon Stillwell, what's going on with him. He's got a hearing date set. And then of course, we're gonna get into Jayz, and we might have a surprise topic we're gonna cover today. We'll see later, y'all stay tuned in. But before we get started, I gotta say what's up to the people, man. See how y'all are doing in here. Of course, to start out the day, shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy is up in here showing love early in the morning. Appreciate you, Amy. Thank you for being here. We got my guy Les Cleaver with the super chat. Oh my gosh, first thing. Shout out to Les, man. What does he say? He says, good morning, ClassE and Amy and my chat family. Heading to work. We'll pop in at break time. God bless you all. Be safe and always love. Shout out to Les, man. Thank you for that. Seeing ballers in here. We've got Lavisa in the building. Michi, A-Fitz, Wendell. Good to see you as always. We've got Deborah's in here. Nicholas, Fatima. Mama D's back at it. What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up? Who else we have? Ryan S is in here. Good to see you, Ryan. We've got Sean P, my guy. What's up? CEB gang for life. Y'all know what time it is. Who else is in here? I know I missed somebody. I always miss a bunch of names. Alejandra is in the building. Good to see you. Rebecca Hoover. Always good to see you. We've got Susan in here. Shout out to Susan. Hilton loves Fanny. It gets me every time. Tats Clouds, Nisha, Drama Llama. Dennis is in here. Under Oath, Valencia. And we've got Sue in here as well. I'll be saying good morning to a couple of y'all as we go throughout the show. If you could do me one favor, and this is all I ask, this is all I beg you to do, is like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it help the show continue to grow, but it lets the YouTube algorithm know that y'all are enjoying the show, and it shares the video with more people. So if you could take 2 seconds to do that, I would greatly appreciate it as we go ahead and get into the show. Now, as I mentioned, we have a ton of topics to get to. Fun Size, I see you. Amy in Texas, I see you as well. Good to see all of y'all. A lot is going on, especially when it comes to this YSL trial. Many of you may know, and let me go ahead and switch on up over here, that we are going to be resuming court in the YSL trial coming up next week. Specifically, what is it going to be on the 16th and 17th? We got a lot of things going down on the 16th and 17th of next week, so make sure y'all stick around for that. But there have been some updates when it comes to not only Fulton County in general, but this YSL trial specifically. Of course, we got to go over to X and shout out my guy Thugger Daily over there putting in work. What do we have in this update here about Atkins? It says the streets are saying that Christian Atkins has been promoted to the Major Crimes Murder Division under Adam Abadi. All right, so give it up to our guy, the karate master, Mr. Atkins out there getting promoted. Congratulations if that's true. Shout out to him. I think as animated as he was definitely a breath of fresh air when it came to this trial. Move things along. I mean, even though he was up there saying Papa Papa, we had a good time with Mr. Atkins, and I think his closing statements were very well put together. But Thugger Daily also says, guess it pays to be the least worst on the train wreck prosecution team. Dang, Thugger Daily throwing shots. Another thing I thought was interesting was Doug Weinstein commenting on this Twitter thread as well. What did he say? He said he's a good guy who did a very good job. He is likable and a good attorney. The jury liked him. I could work with him. Oh my. Doug, don't be switching sides on us now. He is unfailingly polite and professional. Promote that, man. All right, so look at Doug showing some love. Not bad. So shout out to Mr. Atkins. If that is true, congratulations to you. Now, with an update here, we talked about this in the past week, but we had Miles Farley, aka Slato, they call him. He was trying to get a motion, this plea in bar, and motion to dismiss based on a couple of factors, and we named them. Based on the fact that they locked up his attorney, based on the fact that there were delays, based on the fact that their demand for a speedy trial was never dismissed. And we have an update here too, thanks to Thugger Daily as well. So we have, as of yesterday, and this happened yesterday afternoon, Thugger Daily says Slato's motion to dismiss was denied. Oh. He said, it turns out, while it's true Glanville never dismissed his demand for a speedy trial, Judge Dempsey, who temporarily handled the status conferences for the severed defendants, did dismiss it already. Okay, and here's the denial here. It says the state of Georgia versus Miles Farley, order denying defendant's plea in bar and motion to dismiss. Upon consideration, the defendant's plea in bar and motion to dismiss based on statutory speedy trial demands and constitutional speedy trial rights, including a review of the record, the court finds the defendant's demands for a speedy trial was in fact dismissed via a court order of May 14th of this year as untimely, contrary to what is noted in the defendant's filing. Defendant's plea in bar and motion to dismiss is therefore denied. So ordered this 10th day of December 2024 by Judge Paige Reese Whitaker. Now we're going to be seeing Judge Whitaker next week. Hopefully we'll get to see a lot of this coverage here. I know there's a couple of things we might not get video on, which I'm actually going to discuss here next. Shannon Stillwell, you know, Shannon and Yak are still trying to get out of jail. It's looking like they're getting very, very close, specifically when it comes to Shannon Stillwell. Again, Thugger Daily has been on it with some great updates about what's going on behind the scenes. Thugger Daily says Shannon has a final plea scheduled for Tuesday, December 12th or December 17th, excuse me, for all his remaining cases before Judge Belinda Edwards. Now, we're going to talk about Belinda Edwards, and y'all might remember that name because I actually did a video about Belinda Edwards 6 months ago. We'll talk about it here in a second. What does Thugger Daily also say? Could be the day he finally goes home after beating this Rico. His lawyers have consistently indicated he's close to a resolution. So let's look at this post real quick. State of Georgia versus Shannon Jackson. All right. And he's a repeat offender. What is this? Belinda Edwards is going to see him there on this. And they show the different parties and attorneys. And then we have this one. She's going to see him on all of these cases, and his final plea is going to be on the 17th. Now, interesting thing here, and I wanted to point this out from Thugger Daily. Let me see if I could find it. So Thugger Daily did have an interaction with Baby Bean over on X and says, do we know how this judge is compared to Yaks? Thugger Daily said, I heard she's strict. And interestingly enough, Kayla Bumpus responded to Thugger Daily and said she's very defense friendly. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. As y'all know, Kayla is currently representing Shannon and Yak Gotti on both of these hearings. And moving forward, it seems like she has confidence in Belinda's ability to handle this trial or to handle these hearings. Now, going to Belinda Edwards, we're actually going to do a little bit of a rewind back to when I had no facial hair. It wasn't that long ago. And Belinda Edwards was actually going to be involved in the YSL trial, but she ended up recusing herself. So I'm going to actually play one of my own videos. I hate doing this just because it's so weird, but I was the only one who I saw covering this at this time during the YSL trial. So it was mentioned in short by Thugger Daily when everything happened, but y'all check this out, a little bit of history about who Belinda Edwards is and what happened. So Thugger Daily says DeMonte Kendrick versus Glanville looks like the petition for
Hold on a
second. I am super fast on this. Give me 1 second. Boom, here we go. Regarding the recusal of Judge Glanville has been assigned to Judge Belinda Edwards. All right, now this is interesting. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background on who Belinda Edwards is. All right, y'all can see the case information here, and it has been assigned to this lovely lady who is Judge Belinda Edwards. Now, Belinda Edwards, she is pretty new to being a judge. I got some notes here I want to read for y'all. It says that Belinda Edwards has been serving on the Superior Court of Fulton County since 2017. All right, so it's barely been 7 years. All right, and then she has been, let me see, I'm trying to find here how long she has actually been in the court system. It hasn't been that long, but the interesting part about that. So Judge Glanville has been on the Superior Court bench since 2005, right? And then it says Judge Glanville and Belinda Edwards have been serving together on the Superior Court of Fulton County since she got there in 2017. So these two have been working together for 7 years. And again, this is the issue I had with the Supreme Court making this or forcing this type of process. Now, there's still different ways they can go about trying to get Judge Glanville off of this case. But as I mentioned, they have a connection. They're co-workers. They've worked together. They probably handled cases together. They probably have each other's number, have been talking back and forth about certain things. So it's interesting to see that these two have been colleagues and worked together for the past 7 years. And now Belinda is the one who gets assigned to this case, of course. So it'll be interesting to see, knowing that she has that history with Glanville. Obviously, everyone in Fulton County has been working together and has this history, but she's been seemingly pretty close to Glanville in this instance. So I don't know. Judges are their own individuals, and Kayla seems to have confidence in the fact that Belinda is going to be maybe more friendly towards getting Shannon home before the holidays. But y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. Is it looking good for Shannon? Should we give congratulations to Mr. Atkins as well? I want to see what y'all think. Shout out to everybody who's in here too. I see y'all. We've got, oh, thank y'all for liking the video too. Already had 139 likes. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are saying, is that my double? Yeah, that's my twin brother, Blassie. That is not me. That is not me. Lily was feeling the same way I was feeling. She said Doug could work with him. That was it. That was a jab towards Hilton and Love. Dang, Doug's about to go in there and take their job. Amy's in here saying good morning with the new profile pic. Oh my goodness. Look at her. She said Blassie. Yeah, we got ClassE and Blassie. The Crip and Blood version. She said that was baby ClassE. I know, I'm grown now. Amazing what 5 months does. Let me see what you're saying. Sherry says, if a body has that new title, what happened to ADA Love? Was she let go? No, she's probably still in there. And remember, y'all, Fanny wrote a letter praising Love and saying how nice she was and how great she was right before she got kicked out. Yo, isn't that the worst? We said that too. I was like, man, the timing of this letter is weird, especially with everything that's going on with Love. This sounds like the kind of letter that your employer sends you right before they fire yo, you know what. So I don't know. Randall King is in here. Says, good morning, everyone. Been a minute since I've been able to watch. Been working mad hours. Get that money, man. It's Christmas time. Don't apologize for getting the bag. Shoot, that's what we do. Mama D says, if Kayla is confident, that is what matters most right now. Yep, since he's the one representing them. I agree. Chelsea Lynn says, Kayla might be sucking up to the judge because the judge might be looking at Thugger daily since she's taking over these cases. That could be true. The Fanny factor. Did Fanny turn over those documents? What? LTO, what documents? What are you talking about? You know, Ashley Merchant said, hey, it's great that we got this ruling, but is Fanny going to turn them over?
Right. And so what we have
I doubt it.
Is that there is no evidence, none.
I highly doubt it. All right. Shout out to Amy for being here and reminding y'all to like the video. If you could, make sure you like the video on your way in. Let's get to our next topic. And I actually need to change the headline here before we get started. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and get into it here in a second. Rio said, Karate Master, I almost spit out my coffee. Man, y'all know Mr. Atkins up there. He would pick up that microphone. Your Honor. Boy was stripping. Dialogue with me says, where's the watch? What watch are you talking about? We don't know anything about that. Some people know there's a... I shouldn't say this. I was gonna say there's a picture of Viverito that might let us know where the watch went. Hey, yo. I'm not gonna say that, even though I just said it. All right, let's get into it. So we've been covering the back and forth between Tony Busby and Jay-Z when it comes to this recent lawsuit that came out against Jay-Z. Neither one of these guys are backing down. Y'all, when I tell you this is going to be interesting to watch, let's put the accusations aside. This back and forth between Alex Spiro, Tony Busby, and Jay-Z during this lawsuit battle is going to be so entertaining because they're taking shots after shots after shots. I mean, Tony Busby's not backing down, Jay-Z's not backing down. And recently, as of yesterday afternoon, last night, really, Tony Busby and the Busby law firm came out and had some statements about Jay-Z's accusations in his recent motion. And the motion what the motion Jay-Z submitted basically said was either their client needs to not be anonymous. She needs to stand up, stand 10 toes down and say who she is, or they need to dismiss this thing because we're not playing this game. All right. So now Tony Busby, of course, not backing down, had a response, and shout out to Megan Kuniff over here posting this document from the Busby law firm. She says, Attorney Tony Busby tells the judge that Jay-Z's motion to reject the plaintiff's anonymity in this lawsuit was procedurally improper, and the letters are nothing short of defamation, hiding behind the thinnest veneer of litigation privilege. All right, let's get into it. So we have the Busby law firm. What do they say? Dear Judge Torres, I write on behalf of my client, Jane Doe, as well as on the behalf of myself and my firm in response to the to several recent improper communications directed to the court by counsel for defendant Sean Carter in the above captioned action. On December 8th, 2024, my client filed an amended complaint naming Mr. Carter as an additional defendant in this matter. In conjunction with the filing, my firm filed a renewed motion for the plaintiff to proceed anonymously. Rather than merely oppose that motion, as would be expected and proper, defendant Carter filed the very next day his motion to deny anonymity and or to dismiss under Rule 12b1. We talked about that in the last video. It appears defendant Carter made the separate filing, which he believes to be procedurally improper and substantively, oh my goodness, deficient, to serve as the pretext to defense counsel to submit 2 letter briefs to the court on December 9th and 10th. These letter briefs are frankly nothing short of defamation, hiding behind the thinnest veil or the thinnest veneer of litigation privilege, except for one sentence requesting an expedited hearing. The letter briefs have absolutely nothing to do with the only pending issue before the court, namely whether my client should be allowed to continue to proceed anonymously. The letters otherwise irrelevant contentions that the amended complaint's allegations are inflammatory and frivolous as against counsel's plea that Mr. Carter is entirely innocent are merely press releases dressed as legal filings. Well, I mean, Tony, come on now. It's a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black there, because we know a lot of this has been because of the press coverage. So let's be real. Anyway, let's keep it going. Counsel's December 10th, 2024 letter goes much further and entirely too far by accusing my firm and I of outright unethical behavior that never happened and which I would never countenance. To be clear, my firm and I categorically deny all of those baseless allegations levied by Mr. Carter and his counsel in these letters. We will respond in due course and due time through memorandum of law and other appropriate means to the legal issues at hand, as well as the accusations raised by Mr. Carter and his counsel. We also will address verifiable improprieties committed by defense counsel, outright illegal conduct. Oh my gosh. For which we have actual evidence rather than vague hearsay declarations. For the moment, we simply want to timely inform the court that such responses will be forthcoming. Respectfully, Anthony G. Busby. He said we not backing down. None of these guys are backing down. This is going to be a fight, and I'm here for it. I'm loving this back and forth. Jayz taking shots, Tony Busby taking shots. It's just a lot of defamation and hearsay being thrown back and forth, because Tony's like, hey, we're ready to proceed. Let her stay anonymous. Jayz said, no, we're not even going to move forward, Judge, because she should not allow to be anonymous. And they're fighting before this thing even starts. So it's going to be fun, man. The press coverage of this is going to be amazing too, which we have another article here from TMZ that says Tony Busby and his client are going to push even more. I'm telling y'all, this is about to get wild. What does TMZ say? Jayz's accuser doesn't rule out criminal complaint against the mogul. Attorney Tony Busby says, oh man. So originally when we saw the civil complaint, we were assuming, and I think rightly so, that the reason there weren't criminal complaints against Jayz is because these are baseless claims, because they didn't have any evidence, because of statute of limitations, so on and so forth. Now it's looking like Tony Busby says, oh, you want to bring up criminal charges? We can talk about criminal charges. What does he say? Jayz's accuser might take the music mogul's advice and file a criminal complaint against him after slapping him with a civil suit alleging assault, according to her attorney, Tony Busby. Oh my gosh. What did they say? In a statement emailed to TMZ, Busby said he's not ruling out filing assault charges against Jayz with New York authorities, saying what happened next what happens next is up to my client. It's her case, and she decides, and what she decides to do, we'll find out in due course. All right. Per New York state law, there's no statute of limitations for alleged victims to file a first-degree felony assault complaint. Interesting. Learned something new there. As we reported Monday, Busby filed a civil lawsuit against Jayz, claiming the rapper drugged and assaulted a 13-year-old girl along with Diddy at a party following the MTV Music Awards in 2000. Jayz replied by saying the allegation is so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree? Again, I was shocked at this bold statement. Knowing everything that Diddy is facing, and there are some heinous allegations against Diddy right now, right? For Jayz to saying this, I mean, he's throwing his guy under the bus a little bit. I'm not going to lie. In his response to TMZ, Busby took a short shot at Jayz, telling us, I typically don't take advice from an alleged perp whose defense consistently consists entirely of silly personal attacks. So right now, it's anyone's guess where the issue over the criminal complaint is headed. But one thing's for sure, Busby is not shy about bringing legal action against anyone, no matter who you are. What's more, Busby and his client, identified as Jane Doe, originally filed the suit only against Diddy in October, accusing the Bad Boy Records founder and an anonymous celebrity of assaulting her, while an unnamed female looked on. Wonder who that unnamed female is. Oh my gosh. Jane Doe then amended the suit and identified Jay as the anonymous celebrity, refiling the legal document Sunday. As you know, Jay furiously denied all accusations in his fiery statement posted on Instagram. And we read that the other day. We've reached out to Jay-Z's rep and lawyer. So far, no word back. And then we even talked about Jane Doe and the amended suit and the fact that Celebrity B hasn't been named yet either. Is Tony Busby currently talking with Celebrity B? That's what I want to know. Have they already done a deal with Celebrity B? If they bring criminal charges, will Celebrity B testify? Woo! This is about to get wild. So y'all hang on for this one, because this is not going to end anytime soon, in my opinion. And I think we have more information, more things that are going to come out. Let me know what y'all think. Are they going to file criminal charges against Jay-Z? In New York, anything can happen. Again, thank you to everyone who's in here. We got up to 200 likes. Shout out to y'all. JB Brown is saying he's an opportunist. There's a lot of rumors going around about Tony Busby, and we may get into them a little bit later. I don't like going based off of rumors. I like looking at the hard facts. So we'll have to see what happens here. We did have a couple of super chats come in. Excuse me. Let me read those real quick. I already got less in there. Shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy in here, gifting 5 memberships. If you got a membership from Amy, please make sure you say thank you for gifting those memberships. Shout out to Amy for the gift. My dog Rice Street is up in here with like number 198. Let's go. What does D Virgo say? D Virgo says there is no statute of limitations for sexual battery of a minor under 16 years old. This is also true for battery offenses against victims under 18 that occurred on or after July 1st, 2020, per Donna's law. Interesting. So I'll have to look up then and find out what was going on with the Survivors Act, because I know there was an end date for their Survivors Act, and a lot of people think that's why so many of these lawsuits came up against Diddy. But if that's the case, I wonder, is that just New York, or is that a federal law? Let me see if I could look this up. You said Donna's law on. So, let me see if I can find this. We're going to do a little research right here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, we've also got Cat Not Williams in here. We got a celebrity in the building. And I'm trying to find more information on Donna's law. So let me see what I can find about the Survivors Act. Shout out to Cat Not Williams. Y'all please make sure you go show her some love. Subscribe to her channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time that she drops a new video or goes live. She's done an excellent job, not only covering cases like we're talking about here with Jayz, but specifically the YSL trial. She's got a lot of great content over there. Make sure you go watch every single video and you watch through all of the ads. Do not skip ads or I'm gonna come get you. You got to watch every single ad and watch the video all the way through. Show Cat Not Williams some love. Also, Amber Rain up in here making it rain. Shout out to Amber Rain. Oh my goodness. I appreciate the love. She said, thanks for being you. Thanks for being you, Amber. Thanks for being my favorite. I appreciate you. Coming in with the 20 bomb. I appreciate the love. Let me see. I'm going to give y'all an update and we'll figure out what's going on with the Survivors Act. Hold on. Because they actually got an extension on the Survivors Act at one point. And then that's when a lot of these lawsuits started to happen. And thank you, Amy, for dropping Cat Not Williams' YouTube channel in the chat. Okay, I should have said it in simple terms. It's going to be too much to read. So let's see. The Adult Survivors Act, also known as the ASA in New York, gave adults who were victims of assault a chance to sue their abuser, even if the assault happened a long time ago, and the normal time limit for filing a lawsuit, the statute of limitations had already passed. I wonder what the statute of limitations were. Key details. Here we go. Who it helped? People who were 18 or older when the assault happened. So the Adult Survivors Act was for anyone who was an adult when that happened, obviously by the name. But it's interesting. So it's for people who were assaulted as an adult when it happened. All right. What it did, it opened a special 1-year window from November 24th to 2022 to November 24th, 2023 to file lawsuits against abusers or institutions that enabled the abuse. It's like, hey, so if you felt like you were abused or thought you were abused, it's open season from November of 2022 to 2023. A lot of lawsuits came out then. Why is it important? Normally people couldn't sue after a certain number of years had passed, but this law temporarily removed that time limit for these cases. Over 2,500 lawsuits were filed, including against well-known figures and institutions. The law expired on November 24th of last year. So the usual time limit for filing lawsuits are back in place. If you're looking, okay, so I want to find out, and y'all are probably talking about it in the chat. I want to find out what the statute of limitation is for children. And I should have this ready also. I apologize. In New York and so let's see what we've got here. So the statute of limitations for survivors of assault under 18 varies depending on the state, obviously in specific laws. In New York, survivors of child SA can file civil lawsuits until they turn 55 years old. Oh my gosh. For criminal charges, there is no time limit for prosecuting certain severe SAs crimes against minors. Wow. Okay, shout out to New York. This means that in New York, even if the abuse happened a long time ago, survivors may still have options to seek justice. So again, if it's a civil lawsuit, you have until you're 55. If it's criminal, you have forever. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And then in the US, it varies by state. Many states have extended or eliminated statute of limitations for child SA cases due to the unique challenges survivors face in coming forward. It's understandable. Some states allow survivors to file lawsuits or pursue criminal cases at any time, regardless of how long ago the abuse occurred. Others set an age limit such as 39, 40, or 50 for filing lawsuits. Each state has its own rules, so it's important to check the specific laws in the state where the abuse occurred. That is very important. The state where the abuse occurred. Many states have created special look-back windows like New York's Adult Survivors Act, which we just talked about, allowing survivors to sue even if the statute of limitations have passed. Very interesting information. Very interesting information there. Cat Not Williams had some great insight into what's going on with this trial, or not trial yet, with this lawsuit between Jayz and Tony Busby and their client, however you want to say it. But what does she say? Also, if Busby is coaching clients to insert details into their claim, whether true or not a good look. Spiro just alleged a former client expressed Busby's firm pressured her into this. Not great. Not great at all if that's true. And I mentioned that earlier, Kat. We're gonna get some more details about that. And I know Kat's gonna be on top of it as well. If y'all don't follow Cat Not Williams on X, make sure you go do that, because she drops a lot of articles, a lot of great information, and gives insight into some of the things we talk about here as well. She also says, oh, I missed it. The Virgo says, I think that Survivors Act was implemented due to the Catholic Church SA cases. Oh, man. And the thing with this is it's going to be difficult because there's plus and minuses to this. As we know and talked about yesterday, there are a lot of frivolous lawsuits that come up. I don't know if it's 50-50. I don't know if it's 70-30. But you're definitely going to have a lot of instances where lawsuits are brought up against people and the defendants are innocent and the claimant is lying. So you have that too. But I think this situation it's hard. It's hard to look at because there are some victims, as was previously stated, that struggle with coming out because of the things that they've been through, because of the person who committed the alleged act. And then there's going to be people who try and take advantage of this law as well. So yeah, I don't know. Cat Not Williams says certain elements would need to be met for Jane Doe's claim to rise to the level of a charge where SOL hasn't expired. I'm not sure she alleged the necessary elements. Yeah, we're going to see as it keeps going. Rice Street says, what about the cyber abuse I've been through while being a member of ClassE stream? Man, if you don't get out of here, Rice Street has been over here threatening an indictment against me, against Amy, so many other people here. So you are not a victim, Rice Street. Get up out of here with that mess.
These niggas lacking.
William Green is back in here too. Had some great comments yesterday. What did he say? He said New York's Adult Survivors Act signed into law in May 2022. Yeah, we just talked about that as well. I think Amy dropped that in the chat too. Cat Not Williams says, William Green, this woman called the Busby law firm to file a trafficking complaint for a situation unrelated to Diddy/Jay-Z. Busby took her case. Then his team kept asking her to talk about Diddy. Oh no. Dang, I'm going to look into that, Cat. And I know you mentioned it on, you mentioned something about it on X last night, I believe. I if I can't, I might be able to find it. Either way, we'll talk about it tomorrow, and I'll make sure we get into that tomorrow, because yikes. That is a bad look and a terrible accusation, because a lot of people say, you know, Tony Busby has done some great work over his career, over his lengthy career. So it'll be interesting to see if that information comes out. Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Oh man, I got to skip ahead here. I want to get into this video from Law and Crime. And let me make sure I double check it. Y'all were wanting me to talk about this and cover this. We got to get into what's going on with this guy who was involved in, well, allegedly involved in this shooting of the CEO over at United Healthcare. So let me update the title. I'll get that here in a second. All right, boom, got it. All right, I got him over there. We should be good. And y'all let me know in the chat if you've been following this, situation. I don't even know what to call it. If you've been following this story, y'all drop a 1 in the chat for me. If you haven't been following it and what's been going on with the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO, let me know what y'all think. What's in your closet says free Luigi. Of course, Amy has been following it. We're actually going to look at a video Amy posted on her YouTube channel a little bit later about it. Brian B said, bro should have trimmed those eyebrows, self-snitching caterpillar. Dang. Oh, man. That's wild. So everybody's saying 1. Okay. So everybody's heard about this. Well, we'll get into it. So as you know, or as you may not know, recently, this young man, Luigi, has been arrested and was found at a McDonald's and is being held and is looking like he's going to be charged with the murder of the CEO of United Healthcare. Now, a lot of his background was kind of left unknown until recently. And shout out to Law and Crime for this. We're going to actually review the video that they did covering his background, where he comes from, what happened leading up to him allegedly going through with this assassination. And I think a lot of his background is interesting. What I want y'all to do is keep an open mind. I know this story has been going on for a while, and a lot of you have probably made your decisions already, but just listen to the story, listen to his background, situation surrounding it, and then maybe that'll help you come to a conclusion. Let's see what's going on.
Officially in police custody, there are questions mounting about his background and how a promising Ivy League graduate could spiral from having such a bright future to now being a suspect in a high-profile murder case. So what we're going to do for you right now is do our best to answer those questions, because we do have limited information, but there is a lot we do know about him. So if you want to know everything we know so far about Luigi Mangione, stick around. So I want to begin by recapping what we know about the incident and the arrest. So last Wednesday, Brian Thompson was shot dead outside of the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan in what police are now calling an assassination-style killing. He was on his way to an investors conference in that hotel when he was gunned down, and this was shown on surveillance camera. It was a shocking crime. And right after the shooting, the suspect apparently hopped on a bicycle, disappeared into Central Park before then getting into a cab. Police say he later hopped on a bus out of New York and left the state. Now, shortly after the shooting, the NYPD quickly released surveillance images of a man who was believed to be connected to the shooting. Now it appears to be the suspected shooter. So the NYPD released images that were captured inside of a Starbucks. This person was seen with a mask on, obscuring his face. This person was also, presumably, if it's the same person, it seems to be, was captured without the mask on and smiling in surveillance photos from the hostel he was reportedly.
Now, a lot of people are getting into the eyebrows thing. I know y'all mentioned it before. Some of these pictures, it does look like him. Some of the pictures, it doesn't. I know we're spending a lot of time focusing on the eyebrows, and I look forward to the nicknames about this trial that come out. But anyway, y'all let me know what you think.
Reportedly staying at. Then we have the images, of course, of the shooting, and then there's this other image of the suspect that was captured from inside a cab.
It's the eyebrows again.
He can be seen wearing a mask over his face. Now, this hunt for the suspect was intense. It stretched 6 days. Authorities were issuing a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the shooter. And when the FBI joined the search, they added another $50,000 for tips that would lead to an arrest and conviction. And then a major breakthrough came yesterday when a McDonald's employee in Altoona, Pennsylvania, called police. In fact, what happened was a customer reportedly told the employee that they recognized this guy who was sitting in the McDonald's in the back as appearing to be the same man released in the NYPD images. That's how important these surveillance photos seem to be in this case. And the police spoke about their interaction with the suspect at a news conference yesterday.
The officer quickly recognized the male as the suspect from the shooting. And within several seconds of the first contact, he had asked the suspect if he had been in New York City recently. And that really invoked a physical reaction from the suspect. He became visibly nervous, kind of shaking at that question, and he didn't really answer it directly. So that statement alone really said a lot, and the suspect didn't have to say a lot after that question to show that he was very nervous at that point.
And Mangione was officially taken into custody. Now, police say that he was in possession of something known as a ghost gun, which is essentially a homemade firearm that you can actually assemble yourself. And the most alarming part about it is it can't be traced. And the weapon appeared to be 3D printed. And along with the gun, Mangione also had a suppressor on him. And one of the things we've been wondering is, where is this murder weapon? Where is this gun? There were teams that were diving in Central Park trying to find it in the water there. But it seems, based on this information, it was on the suspect. Also reportedly on Mangione were several fake IDs, including this counterfeit New Jersey driver's license that appears to match the one that was used by the suspect at that.
It doesn't make any sense that he would still have the gun, especially if it was 3D printed. I'm not buying it. And we may look at the arrest warrant or the arrest here in a second. Some documents basically showing what happened, what he's being charged with. Him having the gun, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to let Jesse keep talking.
Manhattan hostel that I mentioned on the night before Thompson's murder. And now you can see why he is charged with what he's charged with in Pennsylvania. At Monday's news conference, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro stepped forward and he spoke about this arrest, and he urged the public not to put this guy on any kind of pedestal because there has been a disturbing outpouring of support for the shooter online because he gunned down the head of a private health insurance company.
This killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero. The real hero in this story is the person who called 911 at McDonald's this morning. This killer was not a hero. He should not be hailed.
And we'll get into that a little bit more, but now I want to talk about the background on this guy, Luigi Mangione. So according to reports, he was a bright student, had a passion for tech, grew up in Towson, Maryland, was a standout student, having graduated valedictorian from the prestigious Gilman School in Baltimore back in 2016. This is a school known for producing top-tier students. In fact, the school's tuition costs reportedly around $37,000 per year, and according to the Baltimore Banner, it's considered one of the top independent schools in the city. While at Gilman, Mangione competed on the wrestling team. He had interest in robotics and computer science. The New York Times reported that he even co-founded a video game development company called Uproar Games, did it with his friends. In his graduation speech, he emphasized coming up with new ideas and challenging the world around us. Following Mangione's arrest, the Gilman School issued a statement expressing their shock over the events. Henry P.A. Smythe, the school's headmaster, said, "This is deeply distressing news on top of an already awful situation. Our hearts go out to everyone affected."
And it's crazy. They're still talking about his high school while he's graduated. I'm telling y'all, these internet detectives will find everything.
Distressing news on top of an already awful situation. Our hearts go out to everyone affected. After Gilman, Mangione reportedly attended the Ivy League University of Pennsylvania, where he earned both bachelor's and master's degrees, majoring in computer science, specializing in artificial intelligence, also got a minor in math. He was reportedly involved in the Phi Kappa Psi fraternity, co-founded a game development club. He even had internships at high-profile companies such as Firaxis Games. This is the creator of the popular Civilization video games. After graduation, according to Mangione's LinkedIn, he worked as a data engineer for TrueCar, although a company spokesperson told CBS News that he hadn't worked there since 2023. As for his family background, this is according to the Baltimore Sun, it's really interesting. Mangione's family is very well established in the Baltimore.
Now, this is where it gets very interesting. And notice the industry that they were mainly involved in. I know y'all are smart. You see things before they happen usually, but listen to what his family was involved in the industry that they were involved in. This gets wild.
Baltimore area. And Mangione, by all accounts, he was raised in privilege with a very promising future. His family has significant business holdings in real estate, healthcare, including a chain of nursing homes and country clubs. At the center of his family's success is his late grandfather,
Healthcare.
Nicholas Mangione Sr., a self-made real estate developer who made his fortune through investments. Nicholas Sr. built a lasting legacy with ownership of several key properties, including the Turf Valley Country Club in Ellicott City, which he purchased in 1978, transformed into a golf resort and getaway. This is according to the resort's website. In 1986, he also acquired Hayfields Country Club. This is according to the club's website. And the family's business empire also extends into ownership of Lorien Health Services. This is a chain of senior rehabilitation centers, which is interesting, again, thinking his connection now to allegedly murdering the head of a health insurance company. And on top of everything you just heard, it doesn't end there, because the Mangiones also own a local radio station, WCBM-AM. Now, on the civic side,
they own
Mangione's
a radio
grandmother,
station?
Mary Mangione, was a well-known benefactor who supported various cultural and charitable causes throughout Baltimore.
Don't
She was
do
a
that,
patron of
FFS.
the arts, particularly the Baltimore Opera Company and the Walters Art Museum, where she became a trustee. Mangione's cousin, Nino Mangione, serves as a Republican representative in Baltimore County's District 42A. Nino Mangione, by the way, released a statement on behalf of the family saying, "We only know what we have read in the media. Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family and Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved." So this is a young man who had possibly everything going for him. Powerful family supporting him, highly intelligent, prestigious educational background. And yet what's interesting and eerie and chilling is, despite all of this, what we're seeing now is a picture of a person who maybe just disappeared from his social sphere. Why? Because in the months leading up to his arrest, former classmates who had once been in regular contact with him noticed this sudden and prolonged absence from his social circle. And this may have all started with a very serious spinal injury. You see, last year, Mangione underwent spinal surgery. This is according to the New York Times. A former roommate of his, R.J. Martin, told the Times that Mangione was in severe pain due to what he thought was a pinched nerve, that this often disrupted his daily life.
Now, again, there's so much to this story that's being left out, but I think it is smart on Law and Crime's part to point out maybe some of the things that could have been leading up to him having an issue with healthcare or an issue with healthcare in general. But I don't think we can gloss over the fact that his family was very not. I don't think I'm putting it lightly when I say very well connected, very heavily into the healthcare side, heavily involved. I mean, they had a radio station. How many people y'all know have radio stations? I don't know, man.
Severe pain due to what he thought was a pinched nerve, that this often disrupted his daily life. Following the surgery, Martin said that Mangione had shown him very, very troubling images of screws and hardware in his spine. Evidently, on Mangione's X page, there is an X-ray of what would appear to be a spine with screws in it, though it's unclear if that's actually a picture of Mangione's spine. But Martin went on to say that while he had known Mangione to be a particularly thoughtful person, he believed he may have been severely impacted by this health issue, which could have led him to become more withdrawn. And compounded with this physical isolation, Martin says he was also in social isolation. He told CNN that Mangione had been MIA for months, and this eventually became a concern among those who knew him. According to CBS News, there were these posts that had tagged Mangione's X account expressing concern about where he was. There was one post from October that reportedly read, "Nobody has heard from you in months." Another post from July read, "I don't know if you're okay or just in a super isolated place and have no service, but I haven't heard from you in months."
This is really weird. Now, FFS asked, "ClassE, is it possible this guy could have been a fall guy?" They're saying 5 days, same clothes, and having a 3D printed blicky. Not to mention that he allegedly just went dark for months before this happened. I don't know. Again, I don't know how people behave. I'm not an FBI behavioral specialist, but it just seems odd that someone would go dark like this after being this social butterfly and then something just snapping and he goes off and just disappears for months. I want to rewind this real quick because I thought this part is very interesting and I don't think it should be glazed or glossed over.
Isolation. Martin says he was also in social isolation. He told CNN that Mangione had been MIA for months, and this eventually became a concern among those who knew him. According to CBS News, there were these posts that had tagged Mangione's X account expressing concern about where he was. There was one post from October that reportedly read, "Nobody has heard from you in months." Another post from July read, "I don't know if you're okay or just in a super isolated place and have no service, but I haven't heard from you in months." According to the New York Times, one man back in July even asked him about committing to his wedding, saying, "You made commitments to me for my wedding, and if you can't honor them, I need to know so I can plan accordingly." The Times also says they reviewed a post from less than 2 weeks ago where someone apparently said, "Know you are missed and loved." His family was also reportedly worried about him, so much so that his mother apparently filed a missing persons report on November 18th. This is according to the San Francisco Standard, though the outlet reports it's unclear whether he had been there or if she had reason to believe that he was there. One former classmate of his, Aaron Cranston, told the New York Times that he was forwarded a message indicating that Mangione's family hadn't heard from him for several months. This was following the back surgery.
This is weird,
Now,
man.
on social media, Mangione had been traveling a lot, been seen with friends in all different kinds of places. Mexico, San Diego, Hawaii. Hawaii, actually, was the place that he had lived briefly, and this was all before he apparently began to isolate. But it just wasn't this apparent isolation that was alarming. It was also the content that Mangione was apparently consuming and sharing online, because according to his social media activity, Mangione had been revisiting ideas and ideologies that, you know what, may have fueled this sense of alienation. So, for instance, there's this Goodreads account that has been linked to Mangione, and it's since been made private, by the way. But if it is him, it reveals that he had recently read and rated the manifesto that was written by the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. It's titled Industrial Society and Its Future. And in that review, this account, presuming it's Mangione, praised the manifesto, saying, "Clearly written by a mathematics prodigy, it's simply impossible to ignore how prescient many of the predictions about modern society turned out." And Mangione also reposted on his X account a famous quote from philosopher J. Krishnamurti: "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." So this could be interpreted as a descent into ideological extremism. Again, we don't have the full details, and these are allegations at this point, but one reason I think I can say that is that this all culminated in the chilling discovery of a handwritten manifesto, if you even want to call it that, these writings that police found when Mangione was arrested. It was on him. And this was only briefly mentioned in a press conference on Monday as evidence that Mangione harbored this, quote, ill will towards corporate America. But according to reports, a senior law enforcement official who saw this document quoted it as saying, "These parasites had it coming, and I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done." Now, going back to Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro for a second.
That's tough.
He addressed that supposed ill will during yesterday's news conference.
I understand people have real frustration with our healthcare system, but I have no tolerance, nor should anyone, for one man using an illegal ghost gun to murder someone because he thinks his opinion matters most.
This outpouring of support for this shooter was so bad that I actually wondered before Mangione was arrested whether anybody would help law enforcement. That's how intense this was. Really, really disturbing to see. That's a whole side issue. Anyway, but going back to this for a second, while the exact timeline of Mangione's isolation is not entirely clear, it is evident that his growing disconnection from those around him, family, friends, society, it is troubling. And there is an argument that this played a key role in his tragic transformation from a promising, intelligent young man to now a suspect in a high-profile murder case. Mangione is behind bars at the Blair County Prison in Altoona, Pennsylvania, where he's expected to be extradited to New York to face charges. And of course, we will continue to bring you the very latest developments in this case. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody.
All right, shout out to Jesse over at Sidebar. Y'all go check him out. I'll have the link to the full video in the description of this video. Man, a lot of interesting factors there. He disappears for several months. He was looking into past situations that were done by some other extremist. His family didn't know where he was. He just seemingly snapped at some point, to be honest. Started disappearing, not talking to his family, his friends, not going to social events, was missing out on weddings. And then the way he was caught. And they're saying he was in the same clothes. He had a lot of the same things that he used in the hostel that he stayed at. He allegedly had the ID that he used to check into the hostel on him. So this whole situation is weird, but man, the circumstantial evidence, the evidence surrounding this, it's not looking great for our guy. I know Mario's probably in shambles right now. I'll boo myself on that one. Either way, y'all let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. What's going to happen here? This is crazy. Amy said, I sent the video of the body language expert. It's so interesting. Ooh, we're going to have to get it. We'll definitely get into that at the end of the show. I'm gonna pull it up too. Cat Not Williams sent me something as well. And thank you for sending that over, Cat. I'm going to cover that here at the end of the show. And let me double check this video, what Amy's sending. Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat though. Rice Street's in here being reckless. He said Princess Peach blocked him on IG and he snapped. Oh my God. Thank you to everybody saying good morning too. It looks like we did have a couple of super chats. Oh my gosh, Rice Street, you're a mess, man. Come in. We've got Monica in here with the 5-bomb. What did she say? She says, I think this young man had a mental break. It sounds like it. Especially him going through his own surgery. We don't know if those pictures were from the surgery that he had, but being in pain like that constantly, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough thing to go through. So I think that is exactly what it sounds like, Monica, but it makes you wonder, why did he go down this route? What deep-seated or deep-rooted hate or anger did he have, allegedly, to want to do this? I don't know. What's in your closet said his manifesto was deep. We're going to go through it. Yep, D is in the building too. Good morning. Shout out to D. Shout out to Monteresa in here as well. Good to see you. Rush Street said, this is why I don't use Luigi in Mario Kart. I use Mario every time. My kids hate it. Mario or Diddy. Diddy Kong. I can't say I use Diddy in Mario Kart. Amy says she sent over the video. Thank you. Michelle Warden says our justice system is in need of a complete overhaul. That is an understatement. It seems mental ill. Still no excuse for unaliving anyone. Registry said, hey, Pink Fox says, I think it's weird they found his backpack in the park, but found him with his backpack. And he still had a backpack. They said that's when he had all the fake IDs. Allegedly, they found a weapon. We still don't know yet. Are they being serious when they say he printed a gun? Is that a real thing? I'm sorry, I sound so dumb, but huh? Yes. Yes, you can 3D print guns very easily. You can find the designs online. I am not going to Google them and show you 3D printing guns. They ain't gonna get me. Listen, I always say, if they, whoever they is, or whoever you want to say they are, that's up to you. But if they want to get you, they're going to get you. If they're going to get me, they're going to have to set me all the way up. So I'm not Googling nothing. I'm not Googling it. Not going to look it up. Y'all can do that on your own time. Yes, ghost guns they exist and they're very easy to make. It's wild out here. FFS says they're saying the 3D printed blick doesn't appear to be the one he used on the CEO. Not 100% confirmed. The way he was handling it and the way that was my first thought. When I saw that he took a shot, reloaded, took a shot, reloaded. You don't have to do that often. And I would imagine someone who was planning this out would have tested the gun, but yeah, I thought it was 3D printed too. Maybe that was why it was seemingly malfunctioning. Lily said extremist is determined to make a point, and I think this kid wants to tell his story, and he might get his chance to. Amy said that's what he said. Hey, yo. I know, I gotta stop talking, man. I'm tripping today. Michelle said, does anyone know if this young man has been arrested before? He has been in the mental institution. Not that we know of. It's easy to do, says Tone, with the proper equipment. Yeah, anybody could do it. A 5 or 6 year old could do it. Oh, wow. I thought a ghost gun was a gun that was purchased off the streets, not illegally. No, it's a gun that is created out of thin air. P Fox says, I also thought it was weird on Friday. They said they had identified the suspect, but when they caught him, said they never heard of him before. Which is it? Or is there more than one person? Ooh, it's a good question. Now, they had, at first, people were saying they thought this was a light-skinned dude. Then they were saying it was a female. And then we finally got the picture of him when he took his mask down, when he was either checking into the hostel or at Starbucks. I don't remember which one, but it's a wild story. The news showed us, and he had one in his apartment, and he was smart as ever. Amy says, according to his attorney, no, he has no prior issues. And we're going to get into that in a second. Rice Street says he probably ate some pasta at Olive Garden and lost his mind. I can't. I got to stop putting Rice Street's comments up on the screen. Rice Street. Oh, man. You are a wild one, Rice Street. All right, let's get into our next topic. And we're actually going to talk about some of the things that y'all mentioned earlier. Funside says, I'm not convinced that this guy is the right guy. We're going to talk about it. We still have some more background. We're going to talk about his arrest. Again, this was posted by Nick Sorter over on X. We'll get into it here in a second. Again, if y'all could, please like the video. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. It really helps out the show. All right, so up next, we are going to talk about Luigi being arrested. He did have some things to say as he was arrested, and we're going to actually get into what's going to happen in the next steps, what he was actually charged with, and what his lawyer seems to think is going on in this entire situation. All right, so check this out. This whole situation is strange. Shout out to Nick. He says, Luigi, and I'm going to mess up his last name, Luigi Mangione, just screamed at reporters and struggled with police as he was escorted into court. Holy crap. He says it is completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people. What is going on? Let me see what y'all think.
Down.
Oh my God, that's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
He said the American people and something else.
Lived experience. And the lived experience.
And something experience. So that was the instance where he was being taken into custody and taken into court. And lived experience, Cat Not Williams says. Yeah, something experience, lived experience. I don't know. Is it gang? Is it game? Is it around the scene? Is it around the street? We don't know. We learned from YSL, from the YSL trial, that sometimes these audios aren't reliable. Yeah, around the city. Is that what they said? And then from the defense diaries, we got an update on what he was charged with, or what his arrest warrant says. Here is the New York arrest warrant. Turns out that the fake ID was a really important piece of evidence. Short of the contempt of Luigi having every intention of getting caught and taking his chances with the jury and hoping for jury nullification, I find it incredibly strange that he didn't ditch the evidence during the 5 days he was on the move. Real head scratcher. I agree, but here we go. What is he being charged with? Murder in the second degree. Criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. They did find a weapon. Was it the weapon used in the crime? We don't know. Criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. Criminal possession of a forged instrument in the second degree. Could be the 3D printed gun. Criminal possession of a weapon in the third degree. On or about December 4th, 2024, at about 6:44 a.m. outside 1335 Avenue on the Americas in the county and the state of New York, the defendant, with the intent to cause the death of another person, caused the death of such person, I think it says. The defendant possessed a loaded firearm with the intent to use it unlawfully against another. The defendant possessed a loaded firearm outside his home and place of business. The defendant uttered and possessed a forged instrument of a kind specified in section 17010 of the penal law and particularized below with knowledge that the instrument was forged and with the intent to defraud, deceive, and injure another. The defendant possessed firearm silencer. Okay, wow. So he had all of this on him. This doesn't make any sense. This is crazy. Factual basis for the charges are as follows. I have reviewed surveillance video depicting the exterior of the Hilton at the above location, specifically a camera angle depicting 47th Street between 7th Avenue and Avenue of the Americas. In the surveillance footage at approximately 6:44 a.m., a man wearing a distinctive clothing outfit, aka the shooter, approached Brian Thompson from behind, and then the shooter held what I recognized to be a firearm with a silencer attached at the end and fired it several times at Brian Thompson, causing him to collapse on the ground. I am informed by Detective Oscar Diaz, Shield number 4656 of Manhattan South Homicide Squad, that he was present for the autopsy of Brian Thompson, and the cause of Mr. Thompson's death was determined to be gunshot wounds to the torso. No kidding. The defendant is the person shooting and killing Brian Thompson in the above described surveillance footage based on the evidence collected during the investigation, including but not limited to surveillance footage I have received from the same hostel that depicts the same man checking into the hostel on November 24, 2024 at or about 11:20 p.m. and showing the driver's license upon checking in. Dumb. I have received business records from the hostel that showed that the man provided a New Jersey driver's license with the name Mark Rosario on it. I am informed by Detective Diaz that he is informed by Patrolman Tyler Fry, badge number 351 on the Altoona Police Department, that on December 9, 2024 at 9 a.m. or 9:58 a.m., defendant was taken into custody at the McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. That defendant presented a forged New Jersey driver's license with the name of Mark Rosario as his identification, which based on the number on it was the same identification defendant presented at the hostel, and that in defendant's belongings, Patrolman Christy Wasser, I think it's Christy Wasser or Christy Wasser, either way, badge number 250, found a semi-automatic pistol with what appears to be a 3D printed loaded receiver with a metal slide and a silencer, and a written admission about the crime. Man. This is just insane. So they arrested him at the McDonald's. They found a semi-automatic pistol with what appears to be a 3D printed loaded receiver with the metal slide and a silencer and the ID and a written admission about the crime. This dude down bad. False statements made in this written instrument are punishable as a Class A misdemeanor pursuant. Okay, we don't need to read all that. And it was signed by the detective. Let's get into the manifesto, because I know y'all want to see this. And shout out to Ken for giving us an inside look into the manifesto. This is one of the wildest stories I've ever heard. I've obtained a copy of suspected killer Luigi Maggioni's manifesto, the real one, not the forgery circulating online. Major media outlets are also in possession of the document, but have refused to publish it and not even articulated a reason why. My queries to the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, and NBC to explain their rationale for withholding the manifesto while gladly quoting from it selectively have not been answered. I have more to say on this later, on how unhealthy the media's drift away from public disclosure is, but for now, here's the full manifesto. All right, and this was posted yesterday. Shout out to Kim for getting this to us. What does it say? To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working for anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife or traumas, but it had to be done. What? Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. As a reminder, the US has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world. Very true. Yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable, and so I guess they don't know what he said there. United is the something largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. So fourth, I would assume. It has grown and grown, but has our life expectancy? No. The reality is these, something they can't make out, have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public have allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument, but may have illuminated the corruption and greed decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not the issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Why would this guy go on a mission like this? Again, if it's him, it sounds like, and if this is all true, which it still has to be proven in my opinion, why would he go through these lengths, and why United Healthcare? Was he going to go, and was his plan to attack other CEOs? I don't know. It kind of doesn't make sense. Y'all have to let me know what you think about this, because I find this all very, very, very strange. We do have another video I want to get into real quick. Fox News actually interviewed his roommate. Now, y'all know how I feel about rumors and theories that aren't really based on facts. So take what his roommate, or his alleged ex-roommate, says with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of information about this ex-roommate and who he is as well. So let's get into it and see what Fox is saying.
So how did a wealthy, well-connected, straight-A high school valedictorian with 2 degrees from an Ivy League school get arrested for murder? Let's ask his friend, R.J. Martin, who lived with Luigi for a few months in Honolulu. All right, R.J., did this guy do drugs?
Absolutely none that I was aware of.
What a crazy first question.
We were roommates for about 6 months at Surf Break co-living, and the entire time that he lived at Surf Break, he was a great community member. He kind of followed by our values and our ethics to leave things better than you found them. He was always contributing, taking care of other people, and even after he moved out, he came and hung out and contributed to the community, spearheaded a book club. He and I became closer friends, working out, going to yoga classes, playing volleyball. He's the kind of guy who was doing his best to take care of himself, despite having
he did live in Hawaii.
Some severe back pain and a severe issue.
So he had the back pain, but was doing yoga and volleyball and messing around like that. Was this affecting his sex life?
I'm going to be honest. I did not review this video before I played it. These questions are terrible. What is happening here? My God.
So he was athletic as long as he could be. I know there were days and perhaps even a week at a time where he was bedridden. So he was doing what he could when he could. I couldn't comment about his sex life or, any of our roommates' sex life, just out of respect for their privacy.
I totally understand. So did he ever mention anything about the Unabomber or any other radical ideas?
So I mentioned that one of the great ways he contributed to the surf break community was by spearheading a book club. And he presented a bunch of interesting books to read. I think we started with Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And a few texts in, I actually proposed that we read, it's kind of half joke, but read the Unabomber manifesto. I always wanted to read it, but never got around to it. So that was my suggestion. We had a normal discussion, debate around it. Nothing that stood out at the time, no anger, no a special affinity towards it, just, thought-provoking discussion.
You suggested reading Ted Kaczynski's book. Why? Why were you interested in that?
Oh my gosh.
I have an academic background and I really enjoy reading just about anything, different perspectives, right, left, middle, progressive, things about ancients, the future, and wanted to understand a little bit more about what he wrote, why he wrote it, and maybe some historical context around that.
Okay, there's a lot of academic books. That's just interesting that tickled your fancy. Did you turn him on to the Unabomber? It sounds like it.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't say I turned him on to it, but it was my selection for our book club.
Okay, because the manifesto that we got our hands on
Who is this guy?
cites that quite often. Do you feel strange now that this guy who you lived 6 months with has now been picked up on murder charges?
I feel strange because he was a great friend and I would consider him, a close friend, and that somebody who would assassinate somebody is completely incompatible with the person that I lived with, the person that I cooked meals with, the person that, was part of book club and other activities with. It's like two completely different human beings.
Yeah, that's why I asked you if he took drugs, because it looked like he snapped at some point and went haywire. But we'll see how it shakes out. RJ, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your insights about this.
Well, old Jesse was very clear about the narrative he wanted to paint there. That was the worst interview I've ever seen. Oh my God. How was his sex life? Oh my gosh. What type of condoms was he using? This is wild. Y'all got to let me know what you think about this. We're going to move on and listen to the press conference from his newly appointed lawyer. I want to see what y'all are saying in the comments though, real quick. Cat Not Williams says, I knew the UCLA manifesto almost shooter. Man, Cat, you got to talk about that one day. That's crazy. Y'all said bro's wilding. Azor says this is why Fox News isn't a real news station. I see why people do not like mainstream media. And the crazy thing is, we actually reviewed a video by CNN yesterday that was very well done. They did a very great interview with the lawyer talking about everything that's going on with Jayz. Wow. That was wild. I'm sure Jesse has his reasons, but dang, yeah, Jesse clearly has. He had a narrative he was trying to paint and he wasn't shy about it. Good Lord. Cat Not Williams says the one that had the 800-page manifesto, he was a professor there, but he lived in a suite with friends during college. Jung Forever says, what position was the most troublesome for Luigi? Hey, yo. Oh man, Cat Not Williams is telling the story. She says the power went out on campus one day and he picked up a tree branch the storm knocked down. 500 plus people followed him for hours saying, follow the TREE. And it's a chapter name in his manifesto. He didn't say a word the whole time and told the local news God told him to do it. Oh my gosh. Good Lord. His name was Matt Harris. Kat, what are you doing, Kat? You got to do a video on that. It's an insane story. Oh my gosh. I would love to hear that full story. Brian B said, ClassE, are you going to try and get to the courtroom for the remaining YSL trials? No. I do not go outside. It's not safe out there. And I will happily do my public service if I ever have to do jury duty, but I am not going to go inside of a Fulton County courtroom unless it's absolutely necessary. So no, I will not be going down there. I'm good. Kissing Pig said it costs $10,000 to go outside these days. You might be in jail for a couple of years. I'm just saying, I'm gonna stay my ass inside. Nick Rakita pretty much read the full 800-page manifesto over the years. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Nick. How's Nick doing, by the way? Hopefully he's doing well. Tough things going on there. Bright Street said, who is this guy with the convertible top halfway? Bright Street, this man is wild. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So this is an amazing interview by Luigi Mangione's current lawyer, or his newly appointed lawyer, we should say. And this video is actually posted over on Amy's YouTube. If y'all want to watch it, go make sure you check her out. And Amy she's getting close to 8,000 or 10,000 subscribers, by the way. So shout out to Amy over there, killing it. Y'all go show her some love, subscribe. The link to her channel and to this video specifically will be in the description. Y'all go show her some love. Anyway, let's see what his lawyer had to say about everything that's happened over the past 48 hours.
Out here and try to do the best we can, okay?
I gotta slow it down.
Did you meet with the defendant earlier?
Yes, I did, and I'm pleased with our relationship. I think we've made a strong bond, and I'm looking forward to moving forward, helping him out.
How were you approached?
I really don't want to get into that.
Is he saying he's innocent at this point?
He has indicated pleas of not guilty. The only charges that we've seen thus far have been the ones here in Pennsylvania, and we have pled not guilty to those charges. And we'll
what's his state of mind?
I really can't get into that. That's too speculative. I'm not going to get into that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear from here. You said he has said he's innocent so far?
Oh, yeah, we pled not guilty, at least to the charges in Pennsylvania. Like I said, I'm not aware of any actual charges in New York.
What's up, Tesla?
If you were in the hearing earlier, there was a proceeding where they introduced some documents, which, as I complained about, didn't have enough information for me. So we're looking forward to getting that additional information.
When did that plea happen? It's not something that I was aware of.
Okay, well, hopefully, again, I was not at the arraignment yesterday. I hope he pled not guilty. I assume that that's what happened. But today, when I entered my appearance, and for the record, he's pleading not guilty to those offenses.
Not guilty. All right.
I was at the hearing. He did not say that he was not guilty or make that plea. So right now, though, you're telling us that he is pleading not guilty.
That is correct.
So he doesn't say you are under the impression, or you're trying to defend the client on the fact that he is not the shooter?
Listen, I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's, like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things. If you're going to report something, report it accurately. And remember, and this is not just a small thing, the fundamental concept of American justice is a presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've seen zero evidence at this point. And so I'm not even aware of what any charges.
I'm sorry, that's just regarding the extradition request from...
Well, the hearing today was the extradition, so we're going to take one step at a time. It's a long process. Can be a long process.
That police released, the NYPD release of him.
I'm sorry?
The photos, the NYPD release of your client.
I don't have any control over what the NYPD does, and if they release something, I hope I can get my hands on them, and if you guys get them, send them to me. I'd appreciate it.
Clarify something. You pled for him not guilty in the state of Pennsylvania about the charges here. Can you just, when did that happen?
Well, he has a hearing coming up. I believe it's the 20-somethingth. I can't recall. A lot happened today. So until they haven't even had a prima facie case established yet, so they have to have a prima facie case established before the case can move on to the Court of Common Pleas. So the burden's always on the government, thank God, and that's their burden, and they're going to have to produce some evidence, and we're anxious to see it.
Understanding that you have said you have not seen charges coming out of New York yet that if and when there are, and you have seen them, will you be pleading not guilty to those as well?
That would be my expectation. That certainly would be my advice.
Your client's demeanor the past 2 days at the arraignment and again today at the hearing. At some points he was, smiling, laughing. You even had to actually tell him to stop talking. What are his feelings right now?
Well,
he seems outspoken.
Well, he's obvious. I said earlier, use your common sense. If you put yourself in, you or a loved one in that position, it's natural, I think, to go through many emotional states. As far as him not talking, as long as I'm going to be the lawyer, I'm going to do all the talking. My client's not going to say anything.
A quick question about process. I was also at the hearing last night. I don't remember any plea being asked for or entered.
Okay. As long as he hasn't pled guilty, that's all I care about. So.
In the Blair County case, it's just not the.
Well, I'm telling you, as his lawyer, he didn't have any lawyer of record, and he didn't have any representation until I got involved this afternoon. And I'm telling you, he's pleading not guilty to each and every.
When does that plea normally happen? At the first hearing?
Like I said, normally that could happen at the what happened last night at the informal arraignment, which is at the magisterial district judge.
So is he telling you this is all some sort of awful mistake?
I'm not going to talk about anything he's told me.
How do you end up in Alberta?
Oh, come on now.
I'm not going to talk about that.
Has he been able to contact
That's not what he said.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that either.
Can you tell us when you were hired?
I can say sometime prior to the hearing this afternoon.
So you were hired and not appointed by the court?
That is correct.
If Governor Huichel provides his governor's extradition, then does that change the timetable here? You still have the right to a habeas hearing, don't you?
Yes, sir, we do. Like I said, and I'm not trying to be. It's 24. I'm not trying to be a smartass or anything, but when we've got to wait until we see things. When things happen, we'll react to that and proceed accordingly.
Since cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom, which is normal and fine.
In Pennsylvania, that's the law.
Would you be able to give us a summary of what it is that happened in the courtroom today?
Yeah, today is basically what it was, and it happened fast. There was an extradition hearing scheduled. I found out about that about an hour or so before the hearing, and the initial thing is a person can waive extradition. And it was my opinion and my advice under the circumstances that he not, and I emphasize the not because apparently there's news reports already going out that he waived his extradition. He did not do that. And so that's why we wanted to make sure we're going to use the process and use the Constitution and the rights that are available to any one of us in this room and any American citizen or person charged with a crime. So we're going to move forward.
And also the charges that, excuse me, the charges that I read earlier, those are the charges in New York, just to be clear. So the reason they're talking about extraditing him, they're trying to get him to New York to get him for those charges and the murder and having that firearm, or what did they say, a crafted or a forged weapon of some type. Anyway,
he should not be eligible for, I'm sorry, that he should be eligible for bail, excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about some of those reasons.
He's not going to get bail.
In Pennsylvania, the Constitution says that all crimes are generally a bailable offense. Bailable offense means you have to set some form of bail. The exception to that is if it's a capital case, which means the Commonwealth or the government is looking for the death penalty. And I'm proud to say I'm one of the few attorneys in Pennsylvania that's qualified to do death penalty cases. But those which this is not a capital case, knock on wood, at least that I'm aware of it right now, or if a first degree murder, which carries in Pennsylvania life without parole. If the charge which you're faced with is life without parole, then you're not eligible for bail. Since the crime, at least what was set forth by the district attorney, was alleged to be a second degree murder, that's not life without parole. So I believe that bail should have been set.
But you also talked about like a home monitoring system was a possibility. His lack of prior criminal history. I mean, you really feel that your client should be out in the public. You do not feel that he's a threat to the community.
Yeah, now you got to understand, when you set bail, the judge could set $1 million bail. It could be $5 million bail. But damn it, you get bail. That's what you do. And like I said, anytime you look at the criminal justice system, pretend you're that one in that spotlight. You're going to want to be out. And, so, yeah, I think he was entitled to bail. And the judge makes it $100 million or $10 billion or $100,000, he's entitled to bail. But to simply say no bail, in all due respect to a judge, I believe bail should have been set.
During the hearing yesterday, he implied that some of the cash that was found on him was wanted, or he didn't know what it was to do with. Can you speak to that, please?
I can't, because I wasn't at that proceeding.
Is your client being held in solitary confinement?
I can't comment on that. I do not know.
Well, what is the procedure in the next couple of days? What are you going to do? What is going to happen?
I'm not going to get into a lot of detail. I do have some things planned, but I can't get into that because I don't think that's what attorneys do.
So are there any other court proceedings in the next day or two?
Not that I'm aware of. I hope that since I'm the attorney of record, that they let me know about it.
Earlier
hearing today, you talked about the masks possibly being related to coronavirus. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know where you are from, but I still see people wearing masks. They say numerous masks. A lot of times when you buy masks, you got to buy them, they don't, I guess you can buy them individually, but every time I bought them, they come in boxes, so I don't know. All I can tell you, that's not a crime. It's not a crime.
Did your client indicate to you that the reason for the mask was because of the COVID?
I would not ever indicate anything he indicated to me.
What's
I
his
can't get into
demeanor
that.
like? Is he worried?
Well, I'm not going to speculate on that, but like I said, use your common sense. If you were in a jail or confined in a state where supposedly there's rumors going around you're going to be charged with murder, use your common sense.
What can you tell us about
Makes
your
sense.
client?
What's that?
What can you tell us about your client?
Probably not a whole lot.
Nothing.
What were your first impressions of him whenever you met with him or spoke with him for the first time?
I'm not like the airplane movie said. Hey, give us your impression. And the guy says, I don't do impressions. So I wasn't looking for impressions. What I was trying to do was form a bond with my client. I want him to trust me, and I want him to be confident that I'm here for him. And I feel that I'm very pleased how that went.
How's both his mental and his physical health?
Excuse me, ladies first. I'm sorry.
How is both his mental and his physical health? Online, he appeared to frequently discuss a spine injury he may have had, and do you think that could have contributed to some sort of breakdown?
I'm an attorney. I'm not a physician. I would only be speculating. I'm not going to do that.
What's the benefit of not waiving extradition and going to New York and having a hearing?
There's a lot of benefits to that. It would take too long for me to get into all that. It's we're testing the process. I haven't seen anything. I have not seen one scintilla, one speck, one drop of any evidence yet. So it's what I decided. I think it was in our best interest to do today.
Yeah, and it's too early to tell in a lot of this situation. So I'm sure we'll be hearing more from this attorney. If this goes to trial here and he faces these charges first, I don't know how the order of this would go. It's not going to be televised because in Pennsylvania, they don't televise their trial. So we'll have to be updating another way. But I'm going to keep y'all updated about this. Let me know what you think about this attorney. He's been an attorney for over 40 years, by the way, which is insane. 41 years this year. I'll drop the link to this entire interview over on Amy's channel. Y'all go over there, show her some love and support, and let me know what y'all think. Shout out to Michi in here with the 5-bomb. She says, my apologies for the spoiler. Oh, no, it was fine, Michi. No, you're good. It wasn't a spoiler. I was just kidding. She said, this story has so many layers to unpack. Do you think he will get a fair trial? Oof. I don't know. It's interesting that this took place in Pennsylvania after Donald Trump was the attempted assassination of Donald Trump in Pennsylvania too. What is going on in Pennsylvania, man? Now, this didn't happen in Pennsylvania, but still interesting. I have no idea. I don't know how they're going to do the jury selection because this is one of the biggest stories in the US right now and everybody's talking about it. PD Brokers in here says, I saw something about him having screws in his spine and suffered from chronic pain. Yep, we talked about it earlier. Danielle Judge says, one of I think he meant to say, one of the things I have fought with United, is that United Healthcare? Last year is after surgery. My mother now suffers from anesthesia or post-anesthetic psychosis. She completely changed mentally after surgery 8 months ago. Yeah, when you're spinal surgery is not fun, period. There's so much that can go wrong. Even, and some of the ladies might know this, even when you get an epidural, I mean, if the person administering that epidural slips up, things could go really bad. Ghost says, maybe the weird interview guy, RJ, the former roommate, helped Luigi. That's what it seemed like Jesse was trying to imply, but that was the worst interview I've ever seen. United Healthcare stinks. Wish I switched back to Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah, a lot of people like Blue Cross Blue Shield. No, y'all aren't going to get me outside. I don't go outside like that. Unless I'm going to church. That's about it. Oh, man. The x-ray picture looks like my back. I had 3 back surgeries. Oh, man. God bless you. I am stout. Or I am shout. Sheesh. That is not fun. Nah, he's going to be in New York, so it may get televised. We have all the people from the mills to, I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. L5 replacement. Yeesh. Yeah, I know a lot of guys in that industry. It's tough work, but if it's done well, it's definitely worth it. All right, I've got one more topic I want to get in here for y'all. This one is something I usually don't do, but I listened to part of this story, not the whole thing, and I wanted to react to it with y'all. So there's apparently a former NFL star that was interviewed by Jason Whitlock on his podcast that talks about his experience at one of these Diddy parties with Jay-Z and Beyonce. Now, I don't know how credible this story is. And again, usually I don't do this, but this is the first person that I know of that I've seen that has spoken about what they experienced being around Jay-Z at this type of party. So Jason Whitlock says a former NFL star, Larry Johnson, describes a party hosted by Jay-Z and Beyonce in the mid 2000s. He says, and then he goes to quote some things that are said here. Let's just go ahead and listen to the interview. This is interesting.
When Jay was going after B was a very young woman. Now, I did a Rockaware photo shoot in Colorado, and I think it was during the wintertime of 06 or 07. And Naomi Campbell was there, actress Jamie King was there, Jay was there, B was there, and he rented this house. And we were supposed to do this rap party for this photo shoot. We rented this house, and we were watching LeBron play. And after the game, it had to have been like 10 or 11 o'clock. So we getting ready to party. Mind you, it's all adults. There was a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old teenage Latin girl that was there, and I think she had to leave because she had school and she had to do homework, but she brought her mother with her. So it was no funny business going on, which I could respect that. So when 11 o'clock hit, we turned on the music, we started drinking, and then out of nowhere came these young children. I don't know where they came from. For a rap party at 11 o'clock at night, drinking, loud music, and us dancing wild. Like, I don't know where these kids came from. And then I happened to sit down because I was dancing with one of the assistants. And I sat next to this child, and the child sat next to Beyonce. So I hear B say something about, doesn't this look sexy, or isn't this sexy? And in my mind, and mind you, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. So in my mind, I'm like...
This man said, I'm not awakened as I'm awakened now. I'm sorry if, again, you never know if you're in this situation. First of all, I just told y'all, I'm not going outside like that. I would not be in this type of situation, period. God forbid I'm ever in this situation. If I'm dancing, there's music, it's late at night, and a bunch of kids start running out. I'm out of there. What do you need to be awakened for, my guy? Come on, man.
What did she just say? And then I didn't pay no attention to it. And then, you know, obviously the liquor took hold of me and I had to leave. So I said bye to everybody and left. But those kids remained. I don't know if those kids were from the photo shoot themselves, but the fact that these kids came around adults during drinking hours or partying hours was already alarming to me. So when I hear something like this happens, I can't really discount it and say, oh, he could never do this. Because I'm hearing stories, I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and I've been in situations where something don't sound or look right, and it's usually involving children.
Larry, you've just blown my mind, and so I'm gonna have to ask you to
yo, chill.
I just want to be clear on what I just heard. In 2006 or 7,
yeah,
you're in Colorado at a winter party with Jay-Z and the people with Rock Nation. And
it was the people who helped out with the photo shoot. It was a winter campaign that we shot. Mm-hmm.
And it's at some very nice mansion somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, up in the mountains somewhere.
And Beyonce is sitting relatively close to you, and there's a child there. And, and this is after 11 o'clock at night. And she says, "Doesn't this look sexy?"
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce, the singer.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Yes.
Y'all believe this?
Stop the cap.
How old was the child? We'll do some research on Larry Johnson, but this is the crazy story. Sorry, I'm a little distracted.
The reason why I believe you, I'm not going to put a name to this. The reason why I believe you is like they get you out there and they float little test bubbles out there to see if you bite. It's like going fishing. Does the bob, did I get a nibble? Did the bobber go down? Because I've been in that situation. I'm not going to name names, but it was a prominent sports media figure that I had a social gathering at my apartment in downtown LA, Apex building. Probably 20 people inside my apartment. And someone tried to engage me in a conversation about, can't you understand why older men find 14 and 15-year-old women attractive?
I'm just talking about his history.
And I was like, no, I really can't. And then they followed back up, and I was like, and then I just walked away, and I made a mental note like, hey, this person is on some different shit, quite frankly. And I was like, and it shocked me because I wasn't expecting this from this person, and it's always stuck with me.
This is wild.
I would elaborate and give a few more details, but it would potentially give away the person if I gave any more details. But it was just like a test, and I can remember like, yeah, I just failed that test. And so whatever they got going on out here in LA, and they trying to figure out if they can get me in some kind of conversation about whether I was attracted to 14 and 15-year-old women. I just failed that test. So I don't think you're.
This is crazy.
Lying or exaggerating. I think that is real out there in Hollywood. It's part of the reason why I left Los Angeles. And Larry, to me, it's like you've watched the Godfather 2 movies, mafia movies, and what the music industry in Hollywood is much like the mafia. It's like the Sopranos in terms of you can't become a made man until you've killed somebody in the mafia. You gotta make your bones. You gotta, and it sounds to me in Hollywood and in the music industry, if you want to make it to the top,
I appreciate you, Dennis.
You must be involved in some sort of sexual deviancy before and they must know about it before they fully trust you. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree, because we all know how shameful it is to be messing around with a child, no matter what the age. And they know that the majority of the people in this country or in this world do not sit by and will not let anybody abuse children. So that's more of a shame thing they can control you with. Now, sacrificing.
Whose kids were these? This story, I don't know. I mean, were they just some random kids that just came out of the party? Like they opened up a gate and all the kids like, what? Oh man.
Somebody, that's personal. Not many people can add those or connect those dots of who did what and who did this. But it happens. But when it comes to sexual deviancy, as you said, it's more of we don't want the whole world to know what you've really been up to, so you have to do what we say do. And I think that's how they move. And like you said, I think it's like putting a worm on a hook. They see who bite. They're not gonna come up to you and say, hey, you like 5-year-olds? They're not gonna do that because you look at them weird, or you might just punch them in the mouth. But they'll put you in situations where if young children are around, they'll move you into it. It may not be a 5-year-old, but it'll start at a 19-year-old at a party. It'll go from a 15-year-old at a party. Then you show up at somebody's private home and residence, and it's like a 9-year-old. And then they keep going to see how far you can go. And I don't want to imagine it, but I know they're going as far as they can go until they get into animals. And I know when it comes to sexual deviancy and it comes to lust, there is.
Hold on. How do you know what is Larry said they do? Oh my gosh. He said they do this with kids on their way to doing this to animals. Is that what he's saying? And Dennis Byron's in the building. Y'all give it up for Dennis, man. Dennis says he's about to drop the receipts. So y'all make sure you look out for that. Dennis, I'd love to hear your take on this. This is wild. How you know that, Larry?
Come up to you and say, hey, you like 5-year-olds? They're not going to do that because you look at them weird, or you might just punch them in the mouth. But they'll put you in situations where if young children are around, they'll move you into it. It may not be a 5-year-old, but it'll start at a 19-year-old at a party. It'll go from a 15-year-old at a party. Then you show up at somebody's private home and residence, and it's like a 9-year-old. And then they keep going to see how far you can go. And I don't want to imagine it, but I know they're going as far as they can go until they get into animals. And I know when it comes to sexual deviancy and it comes to lust, there is no backstop to that until you reach an animal. And that's where, if we talk about the days of Noah, that's exactly where sexual deviancy ends up. It ends up with animals.
I was looking at the beard and the hair, and I was kind of like, I don't know. But now I think I kind of see what type of time our guy Larry is on right now. Dennis says he has a weird imagination. That's an understatement.
The other element, and this is because I used to drink and I used to smoke a little weed, but at some point I came into an awareness like, oh man, if you go look at most of the mistakes I've made in my life, alcohol was involved, and it's like they get you, and this thing about LA, they get you at these parties, get some liquor in you, get some weed that may be laced with something, maybe they spike your drink, and then it's like when Beyonce says, doesn't that look sexy? Well, your inhibitions are down, your self-control is down because they got the liquor, the drugs in you, and the next thing you know, you're doing things you wouldn't do sober, and they just happen to have a camera on it and pictures.
These niggas lacking.
I did not watch this full thing. Jason Whitlock saying this. It sounds like an admission. This is weird. I'm not an expert on this, but for somebody to say this, like, yeah, you get a drink in you, you get some drugs in you, and there might be cameras around, and then, maybe you do something that you wouldn't normally do, right? It happens to all of us. Jason Whitlock, what the hell are you saying right now?
Until you reach an animal. And that's where, if we talk about the days of Noah, that's exactly where sexual deviancy ends up. It ends up with animals.
The other element, and this is because I used to drink and I used to smoke a little weed, but at some point I came into an awareness like, oh man, if you go look at most of the mistakes I've made in my life, alcohol was involved. It's like they get you, and this thing about LA, they get you at these parties, get some liquor in you, get some weed that may be laced with something, maybe they spike your drink, and then it's like when Beyonce says, doesn't that look sexy? Well, your inhibitions are down, your self-control is down because they got the liquor, the drugs in you, and the next thing you know, you're doing things you wouldn't do sober, and they just happen to have a camera on it and pictures of it, and then they have you for the rest of your life. Right. And that's what I see. I mean, I just, not to go to, but it's just like, I look at the dude, Baby from Cash Money. I'm like, he's kissing all these dudes in the mouth, and he got this prison mentality. I was just like, all these guys, they're not in control. They accept the money, and then they promote the wickedness. It's very, once your scales come off your eyes, it's so easy to see. And I'm glad you connected it to the Bible, because that would be the last thing I would want to bring up. It's like, if you look at the story of Moloch and just how child sacrifice, Leviticus, just go to Leviticus, child sacrifice, it's always been a part of the devil's plan. And again, that's why the Bible will tell you there's nothing new. You know, we keep thinking all this stuff is brand new. No, man, they've had different forms of this since the beginning of time, and we just can't see it. If you enjoyed that video.
I did not, Jason. I did not enjoy this video. I will not be subscribing. That was insane. I don't know how we got to child sacrifices and doing stuff with animals, but boy, we got way away from the topic on that one. Sheesh, I guess y'all tell me what you think. Do you think there's any truth to Larry Johnson's story? Why is he talking about it now? Jason Whitlock, you got a lot of explaining to do, sir. That was weird. That was, that was weird. My guy Dennis Byron's in here. What does Dennis Byron say? He says part of what he's saying about alcohol is true. Yeah, sure. I mean, I know stuff goes on at the parties, but it's been oddly specific. Oh my gosh. Shout out to Siobhan in here dropping the 5-bomb. She's just showing some love. Shout out to Siobhan with the 5-bomb. Thank you so much. And then we've got Tracy Fagan in here with the 2-bomb. Says, I didn't have animals on my bingo card. Yikes. No. Why? Amy's dropping songs in here. You and me, baby. Ain't got nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. The timing of that was terrible. My goodness. Valencia says, you got some parents who will pimp their kids out for the right amount of money, just like, that's very true. Yes, just like a lot of them parents in the R. Kelly case. And then I think we heard about it in, there were some gymnastics cases that happened in too. How you let your child go off with grown men, trust no one with yours. Well, a lot of these people are down bad. So I believe it, but the way Larry Johnson described it, I'm like, man, come on, man. That doesn't even sound right. Modeling agencies would send teens to those parties before 2024, which your agent would label as go sees. I believe that too. But I guess I need to know the age, because he said 5-year-olds, and then Jason Whitlock's talking about, I'm going to put this interview out of my mind. FFS says, I'm sorry. Did he say he failed the test, or did I misunderstand the question? Do we have to go back to this Jason Whitlock story about him failing the test? Amy, that is amazing. Oh, FFS just dropped the 2-bomb. Says Chris Hansen has answered in the chat. Have a seat. Who was it? Was it Dennis that said we need to check his hard drive? Siobhan says the stories going around about these parties are crazy. I'm sure we could spend 2 days on stories about Diddy and Jay-Z parties. William Green says, I think there's some truth, and he's speaking now like a lot potentially covering his parts. Yeah, I can see that, but there's a lot of details missing. And some true facts and their opinion through their experience with Hollywood, says Anton. Oh my gosh. What did Jason Whitlock say? He passed the test?
I just want to be clear on what I just heard. In 2006, shot to you, the singer. I'm not going to put a name to this. The reason why I believe you is like they get you out there and they float little test bubbles out there to see if you bite. It's like going fishing. Does the bob, did I get a nibble? Did the bobber go down? Because I've been in that situation. I'm not going to name names, but it was a prominent sports media figure that I had a social gathering at my apartment in downtown LA, Apex building. Probably 20 people inside my apartment. And someone tried to engage me in a conversation about, can't you understand why older men find 14 and 15-year-old women attractive? And I was like, no, I really can't. And then they followed back up, and I was like, and then I just walked away, and I made a mental note like, hey, this person is on some different shit, quite frankly. And I was like, and it shocked me because I wasn't expecting this from this person, and it's always stuck with me. And you know, I would elaborate and give a few more details, but it would potentially give away the person if I gave any more details.
Then give it away. Have we not learned anything? We're still doing this. Oh, I don't want to say their name. We're still doing this, Jason Whitlock. Say the dang name. And I mean, I guess he doesn't want to get sued for defamation. But why are we protecting these people? Maybe you saying their name will bring out one of those 14, 15-year-old girls that he was referring to. Be like, oh, I'm so glad Jason Whitlock said this person's name because I've been What do we do? We haven't. Listen, I'm not going to get into it. Why bring it up then if you're going to protect the person that said that to you or protect your own interest? Disgusting, man. I don't care about your BS story. Again, Kat and Amy sent me some great topics that we're going to cover on tomorrow's live stream. So make sure y'all stay tuned in for that. I'm going to read a couple more comments and I don't get these people, man. I don't get it. Oh, but I don't want to say the guy's name. Get out of here. Still protection to the perverts, and you know it, and let people have their family around them. Shame on Jason Whitlock. Why are you telling this story then? I'm not gonna say their name.
And it shocked me because I wasn't expecting this from this person, and it's always stuck with me. And you know, I would elaborate and give a few more details, but it would potentially give away the person if I gave any more details.
Then don't say their name. Give lots of details. If it always stuck with, this is why we're here. This is why we're here with Diddy. This may be allegedly why we're here with Jay-Z, Harvey Weinstein. How many others do we need to name? Who's the Disney guy? Shame on you, Jason Whitlock. Nah, Amy, that's not even a bro code. I don't know what that is. He doesn't even have to say their name. Just say, oh yeah, you know, this person was someone who I worked with at ESPN, and you know, they have their own show now, and they've even been featured several other places, and just drop little hints or something, like give people, or be brave and say their name. And then they're going to act like we care and sit up here and talk about the Bible. And yeah, there's no bro code when it comes to this BS. It stuck with, but he waits to say part of it on social media, or he's going to be like, when it comes out about this person. Oh, guys, I told you. I knew there was something weird. Remember I told you guys that story back in December 2024 and I didn't name him? Well, you know, I didn't want to name him. But I knew there was something strange. Clowns, man. No respect. Now that pisses me off, man. Appreciate y'all, man. We almost had 100% of you like the video. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for supporting. If y'all enjoy music from some independent artists, up and coming artists who are here in the community, make sure you tune in to the Song of the Night live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the ClassE Beats YouTube channel. You'll actually get a chance to vote and decide which artist is your favorite and which artist is going to win the Versus Challenge we're kicking off the show with and claim that next spot in the season 10 tournament. Yeah, I gotta simmer down, Mr. Tesla. I gotta simmer down. Again, shout out to my awesome, amazing Amy over there, giving us the great content. And also thank you to Kat Knott Williams for the article and the affidavit she sent me as well. We're going to be covering that tomorrow. Y'all go make sure you subscribe to Amy, subscribe to Dennis, subscribe to Kat Knott Williams. Show them some love.
These niggas lacking.
I got you right straight. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And as always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace. Protect these kids, man. We're all they've got.